The first card you have your past is the Queen of Wands. I love this queen. She's so kind of majestic, and she looks even more majestic as I look at her. It's as if we're looking up at her, and she's up on this big kind of throne, and we're kind of down below her. That's how I'm looking at her, like right now, and that's how I see her. She's very, very majestic. She is, and she's very regal as well. But not because of her appearance. She's a very kind of simple appearance. Usually when you think of kings and queens and everything, you think about gold and jewels and all of that. And she's just holding a simple wand and a sunflower. Very organic things, natural things, things that are real. And she's very simply dressed as well. So she's a very real queen. She's absolutely real, down to earth. And I think you might have been around a situation that wasn't down to earth. There was someone who was being a little bit false, and I think you had to kind of try to rise above it. But I think you struggled with rising above this. There's some falseness, there's something like that. You're a really down-to-earth person, you just get on with things, you're not into appearances, a bit like this queen. But I think this other person was trying to make out that there was something that they weren't, or they were trying to hide something, be a little bit false. Yeah, just be a little bit careful if this is making sense to you. If there's someone around you who's like this, I think they might have been trying to cover up something. I think they probably still are. This is something about themselves, or they're trying to hide something from you. I think they're also trying to hide something from another person as well. Yeah, I'm actually seeing someone saying something like, oh, don't tell them, don't talk to them. They're against me, they don't like me, don't start talking to them. It's something like that. So they're trying to prevent you from talking to this other person. Now, what I'm seeing is you're probably being told one thing, and they might be being told a totally different thing, or it might be that they know something that this person doesn't want you to know about them. That's what I'm seeing. There's some kind of cover-up, and I think they're trying to prevent you from having this conversation with this other person. So I know that probably sounds a little bit complicated, but just watch out, because I feel as if there's some reason why you're being asked not to talk to someone else. So I hope that's not too confusing, but if you are being asked not to talk to someone else, or if you're being kind of encouraged to not be around someone else for some reason, and you're kind of not sure why that is, there's something this other person knows that they don't want you to know. That's what I'm seeing. I hope that isn't too confusing. I just hope that makes sense to someone who needs to hear that. Okay, so the next card you have your past is the King of Wands. Yeah, a lot of this is about their self-image, I think. They don't want you to know something about them, and this other person knows what this is. It might be a relative that knows this thing about them. I keep on getting this almost desperation, this kind of desperate feeling. They don't want you to know this. And again, you're more like this queen. You're not worried about appearances. They are. That's the impression I'm getting. They are. But it doesn't matter what this is. If this is a big thing, a small thing, doesn't matter. They're keeping things from you. And if they're doing that, it's not a good thing, obviously. In your eyes, and, in mine as well. If someone's deceiving you for whatever reason, it's not good. It's a slippery slope. If they can lie about one thing, they can lie about other things. And if they can keep that from you, what else can they keep from you? That's the kind of thing you were thinking. And this is what I'm thinking as well when I'm looking at this. Especially if you're still in a relationship with this person. Be extra careful if you are. I'm getting the feeling you might still be around them. And maybe you might be kind of turning a blind eye to this, or letting this go. I think you have suspicions anyway. That they're keeping you separate from other areas of their life, but you might not be doing anything about this. You might be, but that's just the impression I'm getting here. But if that is the case, if you're not doing anything, it's time to take some kind of action. Because look at this king. He's sitting there. He's thinking about what he wants to do. He's thinking, should I do something? Should I not? But he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there. So, do something. If they say something to you like, oh, don't talk to this person, say, well, yeah, I think I will. Why shouldn't I talk to this person? Because why shouldn't you talk to whoever you want to talk to? And just start saying, no, I think I will talk to this person, and see what they say. And that might start, don't start an argument, obviously, but, start a conversation about this. Why is that? Why can't I talk to them? What's going on here? Try and get this out into the open if you can. There's a very deceptive atmosphere around this, and something needs to be brought out into the open. Or if they won't do that, obviously this isn't a good person to have around you. I'm definitely seeing a relationship. I don't know if you're still with them or whether this is an ex or not, but it's a relationship. This is the King and the Queen of Wands coming up here together. Okay, so the last card you have, you pass the Three of Swords. Yes. I don't mean to make this negative. This is what's here. Okay, so again, here we are again. This is really, really clear. Some kind of deception. And yeah, look at these three swords. So they're in the middle between you and this other person, and they're trying to prevent you from interacting with each other. I'm also getting this feeling that they might have had a few arguments with this other person. So it might be that they don't want you to hear their negative points of view. They might have this other person, the second person might have negative points of view about them, and they don't want you to hear them. It might be that as well. But yeah, they don't like facing the truth. They don't like facing the reality of things. They like to kind of keep things covered up. That's what I'm getting. But it's causing all kinds of problems for them, because I don't think this is the only situation where they're like that. I think they kind of tell someone something and they tell another one something else, and then they kind of stress about these people all meeting and talking. That's what I'm seeing. So, again, if this is a relationship and you're still in this, you're still with this person, and they're not being upfront with you, it doesn't matter what it is. If you keep on putting up with this, you're going to face a life of questioning everything, second guessing everything. And, you don't want to have a life like that. I know it sounds like I'm being bossy, but I really don't like people being deceived. And if you are in this relationship, do something about this. Either bring this up, talk this through, try and get over this thing, try and talk to them about this, find out what's going on. Or if they're not going to do that, you might just have to move on. That's what I'm seeing. I know that's quite harsh. Okay, so the first card you have, your present, is the Six of Swords. So yeah, look at this woman. She's moving on. So I can't tell you anything other than what I'm seeing here. Again, this is telling you, move on. If you're going through this, if you're still in this, at least move on physically if you haven't already. I know it's a lot harder to move on mentally, emotionally, than it is to move on physically, because this woman on this card, obviously she's moving on, but she's bringing these swords with her. So she's bringing her feelings, all these bad emotions and things with her. It just takes time to get over things emotionally. But if you're still in this situation, again, where someone's not being honest with you, the more you prolong things, the harder it's going to be for you later, because you'll just be more and more invested as time goes on, and it's going to be even harder to move on. Now, I'm not saying all Virgos dump your partner. That's not what I'm saying. But if this is resonating, and you do have someone around you who's deceptive, they're not telling you the truth, and all of that, you know it's time for you to move on, at least physically, as quickly as you can. Please try and do that if you are in this situation. Okay, so the next card you have, your presence, the King of Cups. Yeah, there are a lot of up and down emotions around you. Look at all these waves around this king. Wavy seas going up and down. And I know I keep on talking about this person, but I keep on seeing them. I'm getting this really strong feeling of being wounded or feeling wounded. I think that's how this person feels. I think they've been very hurt in the past, and that's why they're like this. I think, I keep on picking up on this other person between them and you, this family member, this other person, and I think they were really hurt by this family member at one time, probably by other family members as well, I think. Yeah, someone definitely really hurt them, really wounded them. I'm just looking at this Three of Swords again. Sometimes when people are wounded, they try and cover up the wound, and they try and cover themselves up as well to stop them from being wounded again. And I think this is why I'm getting this sort of superficial, surface level connection. They don't want to tell you the truth. They don't want to go any deeper than that. It really scares them, because that's where the wound is. It's down deep, and they don't want you to see that. And they don't want to kind of go back to that again. They don't want to feel that again. So if this is making any sense to you, if you're still with this person, there are probably times when you feel as if you can't get close to them, or maybe there are times when you even feel as if you don't even know them. You might have even said to them, I feel as if I don't know you. I feel as if I don't know you. I can't get close to you. I don't know you deeply. That's the kind of thing I'm getting there. And that's the defense mechanism. That's what this is. This king's on an island. He doesn't like to let people close to him. And I know their behaviour is coming from this hurt feeling, and I do really feel for them. But, if you're trying to help someone, and you can't do that properly unless they're being honest with you, totally honest, and they're not doing that. There's this deception here. It's a sad thing to say, I know, but it's true. You can't help them, you can't do anything for them, and you can't be around someone who isn't telling you the truth for whatever reason. Okay, the other thing I'm seeing here is, I think you might be holding back your opinion on something. I think there's someone on social media who's kind of putting out a lot of images, a lot of information, and it's not correct. I'm actually seeing numbers, so it might be about money, dates. They might be saying, oh, I did this at this date, I was here, I'm so amazing, I'm making this money, might be that. Now, it's not true. They're saying that something isn't true. Now, yeah, they're contradicting themselves. Look at the colours on this king, on this card, red and blue, fire and water, total contrast, contradictions all over this. Now, you're keeping this to yourself, and I think you're right to do this. I think there are other people who know this as well. They know they're not telling the truth. They're keeping this to themselves as well. I think eventually it is going to come out. It really is, but now it's not. But yeah, keep this to yourself. I don't think it's going to do any good for you if you kind of expose this right now. It might it might turn itself back on you in some way. So just do this, keep it to yourself. It is going to come out eventually. This reading has so much deception around it. It's everywhere in this. It's horrible to see. I actually think toward the end of this month, and in September, definitely, a lot of deceptions in a lot of people's lives are going to come out. And I think also things in the news are going to come out as well, be revealed out into the open. I think there's going to be a big political scandal as well in September. That's one. There are other things as well that are going to come out. But yeah, I don't want to go on about that. This is about your reading and you. So yeah, I know this sounds really negative, but it's actually a positive, because all of these things are going to come out. They're going to be exposed, and these deceptive people are going to be shown for what they are, even if they're hurting. It needs to come out so they can work through this, especially this person who's wounded. I mean, it sounds really horrible exposing someone who's hurting like that, but it is going to be exposed. It's going to come out, and that's the only way a wound can heal, if it's exposed. If you cover it up, it's not going to heal properly. But if you leave the air, if you let the air come and heal it, if it's exposed, then it will heal. So it's a good thing for this person. It's a good thing for you to know the truth around all of these different things. So it is actually a positive thing. I know it sounds negative, but it's a positive. Okay, so the last card you have, your presence, the Knight of Swords. Yes, you have so many of these horrible cards. I'm sorry about this, but it is a positive. These things are being exposed, once again. So, you can see all this anyway. This is going on. You can tell this. You're perceptive. You know this. You know when someone's saying one thing and they're doing another thing. I think with this relationship, if you're still with this person, which I'm seeing you might be all through this, love might be blinding you a little bit, because I am seeing you staying around them for longer than you should be. But I think logic is going to rule in the end, if it hasn't already. The other thing I'm seeing in this card is there's a situation that's going to be resolved soon, I think. I think you might have been fighting or battling against an office or a department or something like that, an institution. It's something like that. I don't know if it's a government department. It might be something like insurance. It's something like that. And something was rightfully yours, I think, and it was taken from you or stopped. And, you know, I think you were very upset when this happened. I think you might have been insulted as well, because I'm getting this slightly kind of condescending feeling. It's like someone was patting you on the head and not taking you seriously. You're complaining and complaining, and they weren't taking it seriously. I'm actually seeing a silly mistake around this that was made by someone who wasn't in control of things at work. Look at how out of control this horse is. He looks really scared, actually. But yeah, this is going to be resolved. It's going to be resolved for you, I think, probably over the next 3 weeks. Yeah, I know I always say I don't talk about times and dates, but I have been lately. I know I've been getting a little bit bolder. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing. It is going to be resolved. And you're going to be really relieved when this happens, and you should be. You deserve this. It shouldn't have been taken away from you. It was a big mistake. That's what I'm seeing there, but it is going to be resolved. So yeah, the first card you have, you features the Seven of Swords. Yes, you've got all these horrible cards: the Knight of Swords, the Seven of Swords. Yeah, it's not very good. Three of Swords. So I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't be laughing, but yeah. Okay, so I'm seeing a conversation here, and I think this is probably about this love connection. I think it is probably between you and this person. Now, it might be an ex. You might still be seeing them. It's confusing. I'm not sure whether it's one or the other, because I think I'm confused, because if you're still with them, they probably should be an ex. I shouldn't say that. I feel horrible saying that, but that's what I'm seeing all through this reading, that you're kind of holding on longer than you should be, or if they're an ex, that's what you've done. And I think you are still in some kind of contact with them, because this conversation's coming up. So yeah, I think you're going to have some kind of conversation with them. I'm actually seeing a conversation where someone's speaking. I think it's this ex. They're speaking and they're saying a lot, but they're sort of backing themselves into a corner. You know, every time they say something, they kind of back themselves into a corner, if that makes sense, with a lot of things that aren't true. They're doing it with their own words. That's what I'm seeing. And I think that's when the curtain's probably finally going to come down for you, if it hasn't already. You know, because I think, even though I'm getting this feeling that you're kind of going to be mistrusting them, or you already are, you're probably going to be willing to listen to them up to a point. But then I think you're going to realise that they keep on saying more and more and more things, and they're more lies, more trying to get themselves out of things, and they're kind of saying more lies to get themselves out of more things, and it kind of spirals on like that. And you're just going to realise that, you know, they're not telling you the truth. They're not being upfront with you. You can't help them. You can't do anything for them, because they're just not being honest with you. That's what I'm seeing in this card. And the thing is, I can't say they're a bad person. I know they're lying, and I know that's bad, but they're not doing the right thing, but they've been through a lot themselves. I'm not making excuses for them, but it's just very, very mixed up. And I think that's probably why you're struggling with this so much, because you're thinking, on the one hand, I really do feel for them. They're going through things, and they're kind of being like this for a reason. But then I hate being lied to. I hate this. I can't help them. I can't do anything for them. That's the kind of thing I'm getting around this. So, you know, I hate that this is so negative for you. I don't want to see this, but hopefully after this conversation, you know, you'll be able to start to move on properly. I really hope you are, because I think you really need to move on from this whole thing. It's a great, big, difficult mess. And the more they try to get themselves out of things, the more they dig a deeper hole. That's what I'm seeing happening in this conversation. So, okay, so the next card you have for your future is the Hermit. Okay, so I'm seeing a few things here. I'm actually seeing studying. It's not formal studying. This is something you're probably doing just for the love of it, actually, which is really fantastic to see. This is so nice to see. And I think it might be something you were thinking of doing before, but you kind of stopped that. It was like something that you loved thinking about. You kind of thought one day I might do this for my job. I'd love to do this one day, but I kind of put it aside. And I think now you're kind of thinking about it again, or you're going to be. I'm seeing a very, very simple act here. So it might be something like, you're just picking up a book about this subject, or you might be, listening to a podcast or something. And then that's going to set your mind back onto this thing, thinking about this again, thinking, oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can open this up again. That's the kind of thing I'm seeing. And it's a very small step, but I think psychologically, it's a step toward concentrating on yourself, thinking about things on your own world, your own wants, your own needs. And I think you've probably spent a lot of time worrying and puzzling over what this person was doing or thinking and all of that, and the lies, and is that true? Is that a lie? Am I going to forgive them this time? All of that kind of thing. And so now your mind's going to be on this new thing. It's a big shift, a big mental shift. And, just like what I was seeing in the Queen of Wands, you're starting to rise above all of this, not just mentally, but emotionally. You're rising above. And, you're going to eventually come to a place where you keep on rising, and you're up there, you become so high that you're just neutral about all of this. It's like it can be all going on behind you, under you, and you're just up there saying, well, they're telling lies, or they're not, or whatever. I'm up here, they're down there. I'm going to concentrate on my thing, and I'm just going to let it go. And I think it's going to be so, so freeing when you do that. Look at this hermit. He's up high. He's up on a mountain. He's looking down. And he's totally focused on himself. He's totally focused on where he's going. Anything else that's around him, he's not even noticing. He's following his star. He knows where he's going. So I think eventually that's what's going to happen. You're going to move on from this person, everything they're doing, saying, and you're going to rise up away from this whole thing. So it's really good to see. I'm so happy to see that for you. So the last card you have for your future is the Star. Beautiful card. I love this for you as well. So I think this person might not want to let you go so easily. You represent calmness to them, I think, and they're going to miss that feeling because there's not a lot of calmness in them. But they've done this to themselves. I mean, if you tell lies to this person and that one, then no, your life's not going to be calm. It's absolutely not. So, but I think you're probably going to keep on talking to them for a little while, but then I think up to a certain point, you're just going to want to rise up out of this whole thing. That's what I'm seeing again, and totally focus on where you're going. There's a little bit of trying to hold on to this coming from you. There's a bit of, because I think you do have a lot of familiarity with them, but I think after a while, you're just going to see all of this as a part of your past, and you're not going to want to go backwards anymore. You're going to be looking forwards and upwards toward this star. This is about your liberation from all this mess, all these lies, this whole thing. This woman's naked, she's liberated, she's totally happy in her own body, and she's totally happy with who she is. And this is you're going to be liberated, especially in your head, because it's going to be full of things that you want to have in your head. It's not going to be full of these guessing games or wondering whether they're lying or wondering what they're saying is true or not. You're not even going to be thinking about that. So this is gradual. It's going to take you some time to get to that place. But I think you've tried. I think you've tried and tried and tried to make this work, and it hasn't worked. So now you're just kind of moving into the new. And I think when you look back, you'll see this as a very positive turning point. I know this sounds quite negative, but it is a positive turning point for you. And if you're still right in the middle of this, it's going to be hard for you to see that now. But when you look back, you'll see this. That's what I'm seeing. So Virgo, I hope that wasn't too mixed up for you. There was a lot in this. But yeah, general readings can't always resonate with you, so it may or may not have resonated. But again, if you like this reading, please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you'd like to. And thank you so much for watching.